What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're talking about the best books for self-help or self-improvement. Now, before I get into the actual list of books that I have here themselves, I want to talk a little bit about why I chose these books. So what all of these books have in common is that, number one, they're pretty easy reads. Like, they're really entertaining. The authors do a good job of kind of giving you like a lot of value in each and every page. Some books take a lot of like building up to actually get to the point, and that's important too for some topics. But these books that I chose here are for people that maybe you don't love reading so much. Maybe you're just getting into self-help. So these books are going to be great for you because they're very easy to read, so they won't scare you away, they won't deter you. They provide a lot of value, so you're going to get a great return on the investment of your time from these books. And they're very practical, they're very pragmatic. And the reason I say that is because there's a lot of action steps that you can take from these books. It's not just like theoretical. It talks about like, hey, here's this principle and here's some action that you can take in your day-to-day life that's going to help you implement this principle that's going to improve the quality of your life. So without further ado, I'll get right into the list. The first book on the list here is Atomic Habits by James Clear. Now, as the title suggests, we got a subtitle here, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. So as the title suggests and the subtitle, this book is about habits. It is probably the most practical self-help book that I've ever read. And the reason that is so is because it really shows you how habits frame your entire life. Like, your life is a culmination of the habits that you have in your day-to-day life. And if you want to like take a look into your future, I have a whole video on this topic, but if you want to look at your future, all you have to do is follow the trajectory of your habits, because that's all your results are. They're a lagging measure of your habits. And this book really hits that point home, and it gives you a lot of practical action steps for you to take to implement and sustain your good habits and get rid of the bad ones. And that's done through what the author James Clear coined as the 4 laws of behavior change and habit formation. And those laws are: make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. And he really dives into a lot of those. Most of the book, like 80% of the book is, maybe not 80, maybe like 60 to 75% of the book is dedicated to those 4 points. And the inversion of those 4 points as well, because that's how you're going to get rid of your bad habits. So, like I said, these books are all great, even if you're just getting started in self-help. This is the first book that I would read if you're looking to really grab your life by the reins and try to take some control and have a better quality of life. This is the first one to read. The next book on the list is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Honourable Mention. This book is a really good, like, grab you by the shoulders, look you in the eyes, and give you some real talk, some talk that you really need to hear. In this book, Mark addresses a lot of common human issues, a lot of common tendencies, like limiting tendencies and neuroses that really just hold us back in our life and kind of yield a lot of unnecessary suffering. He addresses a lot of important points like giving a fuck about the wrong things or giving too many fucks about the wrong things. You know, the tendency to avoid what we're fearful of. And just overall, it does a really good job of bringing the reader's awareness to a lot of the things that fundamentally cause issues and suffering in our life. And in turn, he gives you the solutions to those as well. Because let's face it, awareness alone is curative. So this book, a really good book. Like I said, that all these books on this list have in common is that they're an easy read. This one is like, it's almost like, sometimes when you read a book, it feels like a task or it feels a little bit tedious and you kind of have to like bring yourself to do it. This book is really funny too. I like that Mark is, kind of a comedian. So hopefully you'll enjoy that book a lot more if you have a sense of humor. All right, next book on the list, Happiness by Thich Nhat Hanh, Essential Mindfulness Practices. Now, I had to put a book on this list that was all about mindfulness, that was dedicated to mindfulness. And this is the book that I chose. This book does a great job of introducing the topic of mindfulness and telling you all about why it's so important and giving you a lot of practical mindfulness practices. I mean, that's what the subtitle of the book is, Essential Mindfulness Practices. Gives you a lot of practices that you can implement in your day-to-day life to just become a lot more mindful, become a lot more present, a lot more aware. And that in itself is just going to raise the quality of your life so much. And that, like doing that, becoming a more mindful person has so many implications that you can learn all about in this book. If you have a meditation practice, you probably already know that. But I had a meditation practice long before. I'd been meditating like 2 years before I actually read this book. And it still introduced a lot of really good practices that I found really easy to fit into my day-to-day life, even just like small things. Like, I'll give you an example. One of the practices he talks about is anytime you hear a bell of any kind, just kind of take that as an opportunity, as a reminder to ground in and take 3 deep conscious breaths. Just like get grounded, get present, check in with yourself. And that's something that I still do to this day. Every time I hear like a bell of any kind, that's just a small example, one example of a lot of the different really practical mindfulness practices that he has in this book. And like I said, really, he just introduces the topic of mindfulness and the importance of it in a really good way as well. Thich Nhat Hanh he passed away a few months ago. He was responsible, he was like really influential in bringing Buddhist teachings to the West. So we have him to thank for that. Great book, highly recommend it. Next book, I'm not going to dive into this one too much because you can actually go ahead and click on my link in the description, or I'll put a card in the video as well, so it's probably there somewhere right now. It's The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. I did a full book review on this book, so you can go ahead and check that out. Next book, same story here. I did a full book review on this, so you can go ahead and click the card in the corner over there, and I'll include the link in the description as well. This book is Conversations with God. This is a bit of a Bible, not in the sense that it's like religious and dogmatic. Don't let the title deter you. It's not necessarily religious, but if you are a religious person, I still encourage you to read this. They do talk a lot about, especially like Catholicism, but like I said, you can go check out my full book review that I did on Conversations with God to find out more. This is actually all 3 in one. This is the complete Conversations with God. That's book 1, book 2, book 3. This copy is about like 700 pages, but you can read them individually and it's a little less intimidating than a 700-page book. Next book is It's Not About the Money by Brent Kessel. This is fantastic. And as you can guess by the title, it has everything to do with finance, but it's a very holistic and like mindful approach to finance. The guy who wrote it, Brent Kessel, named one of the top financial advisors in the US by Worth magazine. He's a financial advisor. He has his own company. I believe it's called Abacus. And he's also as he says in the book, an FA by day and a yogi by night. So he's a very conscious individual. He breaks down different archetypes around money. So you might identify with one archetype or 2 or 3 more than any of the other ones, and it'll really give you a lot of insight into your money psychology and how you can fix some of the issues that you have. You can go ahead and check out my video, link over here and in the description, on the 8 financial archetypes. That video is actually titled How to Heal Your Relationship with Money. It's not necessarily a book review, but it'll give you a lot of insight into this book. I highly, highly recommend it. Very practical, a lot of action steps in here. That's that book. It's Not About the Money, Brent Kessel. That is all the books that I'm recommending right here. There is an honorable mention. If you are a man or a woman or anyone, doesn't matter how you identify, but if you feel that you have a dominantly masculine essence, a dominantly yang essence, this book is for you. This is a really good book. The Way of the Superior Man by David Deida. So that's just an honorable mention. I won't dive into that, but if you have a masculine essence, if you are a person who feels like you have a masculine essence, like I said, you have the yang energy, not the yin energy. Everybody has both, but dominantly we have one or the other. If, like I said, if you identify with having a dominantly masculine essence, that book will change your life. As will all of these. These are all really great reads, and I highly recommend them all. Very worth your time. You're going to get a great return on the investment of your time with all of them. Before I wrap up, I just want to mention, with any books that you read, reading is great. Reading's very good. I do it every day. But it's not going to actually be serving you if you're not integrating what you're learning from the books. So what I do when I read books is I take notes on the books. I review my notes, and I try to implement and integrate what I learned from the books into my everyday life if I find it to be valuable. So yeah, there's only so much that books can do for you. You have to actually put the practices and the theory into action. So that's it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Happy reading. If you've read any of these books before, let me know what you thought about them in the comments down below. I'm curious. If you go ahead and read them after this video, I would love to hear what you thought about them. So you can go ahead and come back and leave me a comment on that. And if you felt like there's any books that should have made it on this list that you really value, you can go ahead and drop the title in the, maybe, a little bit about the book in the comment section down below, and just provide some more value for anybody watching this video. And heck, maybe it provide me some value too. Maybe I'll read the book that you recommend if I haven't read it. So if you like this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe to my channel for more valuable content, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Thanks for watching.